Welcome to the data modernization McKesson story. My name is Lokesh Kris. I'm a data management and data analytics specialist at Google Cloud. I have several years of experience working on large public and private cloud deployments and migrations. I also had the opportunity to start a couple of companies in the past, Otis Advertising and Avid Technologies. I'm a spiritualist, dad, traveler, love reading books, and enjoy cooking while I'm free. The agenda for today is to understand how large enterprises approach data modernization and solve some of their complex challenges, such as data modernization, reducing the cost, improving agility for business and integration, etc., and move their business forward progressively. McKesson is a large customer I work with, and we are going to be hearing from them and how they're successfully executing their data modernization strategy on Google Cloud. Why do enterprise modernize today? Why are they looking at modernization? They increasingly want to address latest business opportunities, and they also want to leverage the latest technology trends and architectures and the latest technologies available in the cloud. And they do so by adopting or migrating to the cloud and making cloud as part of the journey. And enterprises are increasingly looking to modernize the business application by moving to the cloud. And why Google Cloud? What makes Google Cloud different? We deliver end-to-end security solutions from the data center all the way to the end user with a purpose-built infrastructure and security by default. We believe in an open cloud, and we have designed Google Cloud to support whatever system best suits your needs, and whether hybrid or multi-cloud or something in between. We strive to make Google Cloud easy to use, automating manual tasks and configuration wherever possible so your teams can focus on deployment and development and less on managing infrastructure. We embed intelligence in everything, making it easy for you to apply AI and ML in your own organization. Lastly, we bring you the best of Google in our solutions, and we can help you create a more innovative and collaborative culture in your own organization. And with that, I have great pleasure in introducing Anshul Kumar, Director of Data Analytics and Innovation from McKesson.
Thank you, Lokesh, for having me. I'm excited to share my experiences so far and the amount of work that Lokesh and the product teams have helped us get through. It's pretty cool. My team focuses on the analytics that powers our B2B customer experiences. What that means is all the analytics that's within our e-commerce platforms. Our value prop to our customers is we will give them access in addition to the healthcare products, the right products at the right cost. We'll also give them access to analytics, which will help them run a more optimized shop. And that's a piece that our team works on. When I'm not working, I am exploring other open source technology stacks. I'm a dad and an aspiring blogger. We have a quick 1 minute at McKesson video. Hope you enjoy it.
It's 11:15 a.m. on a Tuesday. In the next minute, McKesson will make better health possible for millions of people at the same time. A young girl in Los Angeles will start her road to recovery after her primary care physician used a rapid strep test we delivered to make the right diagnosis. An aging Tucson woman will move into an affordable long-term care facility that uses our inventory solutions to control costs and improve patient care. A woman in Paris receives personalized treatment for her skin condition from her local pharmacist, avoiding a trip to the dermatologist. A line of third graders in Little Rock will head to the nurse's office for needed flu shots we supplied to their local school district. A pharmacist in Montreal reminds a diabetes patient to take his medication because a system we developed with manufacturers triggered an adherence consultation. A single mom in a rural area gets her critical medication and stays on budget because we supplied her local pharmacy with a cost-effective generic. This is the difference McKesson makes in 1 minute. This is the difference we make every minute. What will we make possible in the next minute? The next hour? The next year? It's now 11:16 a.m. It's time to get back to work.
And that was 1 minute at McKesson. We are in the healthcare distribution business. McKesson has a rich history of selling many different products, and some of the brands that we see here on the slide were at some point owned by McKesson. Founded in 1833, it's a Fortune 7 company, 80,000 strong, headquarters in Edmond, Texas. We do have a global footprint. We have our business units in European Union and in Canada, and especially during the COVID-19, I'm very proud to be part of Team McKesson. Our CEO helped devise Project Airbridge at the White House, and the McKesson distribution leadership team, and all our DC leaders and the folks, and special shout out to them for helping out getting the product at the hotspots during wave one. In this talk, we'll start with the current state, how we got here. We'll get into McKesson's way of adopting cloud, and it's the blend of org structure, processes, training resources. We'll touch upon foundational things to have in place before you start your cloud journey or while you have your cloud journey. We'll talk about various patterns when you think about data storage, and end of the call with where are we on this journey.
So, Anshul, what led you to choose Google Cloud Platform? Could you please walk us through some of the drivers as why Google Cloud Platform?
That is a good question, Lokesh. Folks will have another big long list, I'm sure. But personally, for me, the healthcare APIs that Google Cloud Platform offers out of the box, those can be a game changer. Our customers, our physicians' office, surgery centers, and hospitals. So if we could leverage these APIs to latch onto their ERP systems and do the point in time delivery of the product when they need it, that's going to be fantastic. So we talked about the rich McKesson history, and should be no surprise that over time there were multiple mergers and acquisitions that took place. And when you go through mergers and acquisitions, you also bring in teams from different companies with IT teams. They bring in their own technology stacks. So it should be no surprise to see multiple ERP systems here, multiple EDWs, and multiple application databases. When I talk about multiple application databases, not just the name of the database, but also the flavor. If we have JD Edwards, we have SAP, we have Oracle, we have SQL, we have MySQL, and so on. In addition, we also have multiple ETL tools and various ways to replicate information. There is a good opportunity for standardization. That should be the takeaway. And we are a multi cloud shop. McKesson has access to Microsoft Azure, public cloud, and Google Cloud. And for our CRM, we are a Salesforce. So we talked about earlier on multiple teams getting together. So thousands of people, you just giving them keys to the public cloud is not going to be a most effective way for cloud adoption. And the senior leadership did identify this, and they decided to adopt SAFE. What is SAFE? SAFE is Scaled Agile Framework. So this is agile for enterprises, larger enterprises. And there's tons of good information out there on the internet. You can search upon it. Real quickly, the different milestones or phases that I've highlighted here. Project was senior leadership buy-in for the process. Yes, SAFE is what we are going to adopt. Foundation is setting up of the internal McKesson Cloud team. The internal McKesson Cloud team is responsible for the connectivity to GCP public cloud, all the cost related conversations, all the security related conversations, new feature enablement, giving access to app development teams such as myself. They do it all. And the third phase was migration. So migration could mean different things to various people. For specifically for my group, we had some applications which were running at capacity, and we thought these are good candidates, right, to be moved over to public cloud from on-prem. So that's what we did. We ended up migrating those applications, small, manageable sizes. And the goal is after 100% on public cloud, we just start building like native cloud applications, reduce our technical debt, and app modernization. Just keep eyes open for any opportunities for modernizing. As part of the McKesson GCP adoption, the McKesson team got access to a few like free on-demand learning programs. These were instrumental for my team into. They pretty much acted like a slingshot. Right, folks could go in and at the self pace at their own leisure, learn the new technology stack, and next thing you know, they're building upon that. So I highly recommend checking this feature out with your Google account executives. It's not just for the hands-on developers. There is some good content out there for leadership folks as well, for transformation and just cloud adoption. This one I would call the replication strategy as a foundational piece and for going to cloud. And why I'm calling it foundational is we decided to go with a less complicated workflow into public cloud first and not roll out our ERP right day one. ERP systems are the one which are running our core business of big package shipping. So we did not want to go with ERP day one into public cloud. Instead, we went with the analytical workloads and the application, the e-commerce workloads into public cloud. And when you do that, right, the original data is going to initiate on your ERP systems. So how do you compute on the cloud? You cannot compute on the cloud unless you get that enabler source information. And this is what the context is for this slide. It's good to have at least think through how do you get your ERP information, the orders which are getting generated day in, day out. How do you make them available through one single structured flow into cloud? And from there, the app development teams, which are many, can utilize the source data and run with the apps that they are closest to, right, and their own subject matter expertise. And our VP would say he would often use the phrase 10-yard teams who know how to run 10 yards, but they would not know how to score a touchdown. So you don't want to be in that situation where multiple app development teams are just using their own method, opening up firewalls between your on-prem data centers and onto your public cloud, and all of them are more than often right replicating the same information, which can result into right different problems. Like first is reduced visibility for sure. You do not know what's being moved right from on-prem to the cloud, and then the other one would be the security team has limited visibility into what is there patient information that's flowing through, and if yes, what are the controls in place. So this one is a real graph database screenshot of just replications running within the Oracle databases. This is just DB-Link. It does not cover the other replications that we are using outside of that Oracle cluster. This is just within the Oracle cluster. The good thing here is this is all constrained and it's on-prem. But imagine if this was the case for connectivity from on-prem to the public cloud. You do not want that to happen, right? It should be nice and it should be measurable. It should be manageable. So replication, I cannot emphasize enough. It's definitely worth a pause for the solution architects, the enterprise architects, and rethink it and try to get a grasp around like no more uncontrolled portholes to the cloud, right? If there is an outage, if the network is running into contention, what kind of insights do you have on this? Is there a way to measure who's running that workload? The manageable like outages, how do you manage outages? Something to think about and keep a close eye on the network bandwidth. If app development team A is using sales history, right, or if they're moving sales history to the public cloud, unless you have a good replication strategy, the team B and C will never know that the same information that they're looking for, it's already on the public cloud, right? Versus them again pulling the same information through the wire. And again, when you think about the replication tool, think about a good ODS solution on the cloud and use that, right? You can pretty much start creating that, build on that story. From there, you can think about the different heterogeneous RDBMS solutions, right? Perhaps also land those events into Kafka queue, right? Build APIs through it, and so on. In our case, we do have our application databases are running on Oracle DB, and I talked about the rich McKesson history. So for this specific version, the one we have on the slide deck, it's almost around 20 years old, and more than often the implementation reflects upon the skill sets, right, that were on the team at that point in time. So this specific application database is running low latency calls as app databases should, but non-business hours, it's also extended to be doing batch processing, right? Because that team had Oracle talent, so they ended up doing ETL batch work, non-business hours, and this is not uncommon. So when we were thinking about what's the ideal PaaS solution to move away from Oracle because we are running capacity, we found the ideal candidate to be MySQL. But again, we went with PostgreSQL for the reasons I'll talk about in the few next slides. But good information out there for folks who are in the same boat. Multiple conversion utilities available like MigVisor or R2PG. You also have GCP heterogeneous tools product team. You can interview them and see if they can do something to ease that migration for you. So MySQL, I talked about, is ideal candidate for app DBs. It is thread based, right? And it's better for low latency connections, and it can support many connections. And that's what we see happening with Oracle databases. At the same time, you have a lot more success stories of folks having moved from Oracle to Postgres. So that's one of this aspect, right, of the many success stories. This weighed in heavily for our decision. The other specific, right, the utilization of sequences. Few of our apps use sequences on Oracle. We use triggers heavily, which are also supported on PostgreSQL. And we are heavy into materialized views. Like, do not judge. This is just how it exists, right? Just a messenger here. And we do use Oracle partitioning. Our success criteria was also we do not have, right, get it done with what you have. So more with less. So the goal was to make minimal changes to the Java app code and minimum changes to the current legacy application. I would call it legacy now, and still move away from Oracle. Given those guardrails, Postgres is the best candidate that we ended up picking. We have been an Elastic shop for almost 5 years. We started on-prem. We were running capacity. So we ended up moving our Elastic cache databases to Azure. Azure at the time did not have a PaaS service which could support aggregate functions, which we heavily utilize, like group buys and so on. So we had to fall back into the IaaS setup. Now, IaaS natively, for folks who have built, right, the infrastructure as a service, it's not a walk in the park, right? It's not an easy thing to do. And what further complicates is the bigger these cache databases become, the more are the failure points, right? The higher is the risk matrix. Currently, we are facing on our IaaS stack, the bigger disks which are attached to these cache databases need encryption, and these encryption processes may run for 2 to 3 days. So that's our biggest failure point, right? That might hit our SLAs. So we had been meaning to get out of IaaS, and very recently, as of 3 months back, right, Elastic Cloud, they announced GA for HIPAA compliance. That's excellent. We need HIPAA for all the workloads we put in on the cloud, and there's also aggregate function support. Where are we on this journey? We did check out our application compatibility on the Elastic Cloud, the Elastic service, and we're also looking into the GCP credits that we could flow through the Elastic Cloud instance. This is an interesting concept, right? If you have an Oracle database and the ask is to move away from Oracle database, the first thought goes into finding another database on the cloud. So we were no different. We have an information warehouse just like many other folks do. Actually, every shop has an information warehouse. So if you reflect upon what was the reason why that information warehouse came into existence, right? We pretty much reflected upon ourselves, and it had to be a fact-based quest because I report into data and analytics. So the data has to back it up, right, for any reasoning. And we trended each and every pattern. What are the workloads running in the information warehouse? We came to the conclusion that there were only a handful of data analysts who were used using that database to run queries. And these are the guys who are connecting through Access DB and so on. So essentially, what they're doing is just pulling information out. And if that's what they're doing and not running queries, why do you need a database? So when we thought about that concept, one of our vendors, Impetus, they have a utility called automated workload transformation. What does the tool do? You put in different flavors of software on the left hand side, and auto magically on the other side, a different version comes out. In our case, we had PL/SQL procedures, we had C++ applications built over last 20 plus years, and we had OWB, Oracle Warehouse Builder, which is also end of life Oracle ETL tool. So we push all that application on the left hand side as input to the workload transformation, and we like open source is our motto and pass. So we wanted it to be converted into a data proc friendly version. So in our case, we converted that code to PySpark, and on that little black screen, very hard to interpret. This is a 14,000 lines of code. The way the workload transformation works is it comments the original application code, and right underneath it's going to put the converted block, right? So it's easy to diagnose. So just the takeaway would be just because you have a database application, it doesn't have to be solved from for database to database. There could be other ways to solve it without a DB. We have had different Hadoop flavors over the years. I started out with Hortonworks and before Hortonworks and Cloudera combined, but more recently we shut down our on-prem Cloudera cluster and we moved our workloads to convert to Dataproc. And just going into the weeds here a little bit, we did work with our internal cloud team and our network teams to open up DisCP. We utilized the DisCP utility within Hadoop framework to move data from HDFS into the buckets, the GCS buckets. The nice thing about Google Cloud is by default, storage is encrypted. So you cut down that additional layer, saves us a lot of time, not having to encrypt again. The assets that we use, again, HIPAA compliant. For Metastore, we do use MySQL, a small instance, and it's geo-replicated. For folks who do not know why Metastore is being called out, the clusters as such are right. This compute is expensive and storage is cheap on public cloud. So the goal should be to minimize the utilization of compute. If you're not using it, then why is it running 24/7? That's called transient cluster that we destroy it when they're not being used. So our data proc clusters, they come into being for 1 or 2 hours. They run the workload and then they vanish. And where do they save the table structures and all that good stuff? It's in the Metastore. That's what it's doing. Transiency is super important. Keep an eye on the cost. I've been doing cloud for almost 5 years here, so I can tell the difference between the old legacy way of cutting a big check and after towards the end of 5 year life cycle, your SLAs start taking a hit, right? But there's only so much you can do. You never lose cost because your hardware can only support that much, right? Your apps might take a hit, but you're not spending extra. Whereas on the cloud, you very quickly, as your workload and your data increases, you might be paying through the nose. So it's imperative keep your eyes on the cost optimized. And we audit our cost on a monthly basis, and also share the insights with our senior leadership on how much are we spending and what applications are chewing up that cost.
That's great to hear, Anshul. As you can see, McKesson addressed several aspirational goals here. They wanted to move into open source adoption, and then they wanted to modernize their analytics, implement visualization stack, and more importantly, modernize the skill set of the organization and adapt and adopted trends. Enterprises increasingly want to adopt open source and move away from licensed software wherever possible. As the business grows and more data is made available, and the need to modernize analytics environment becomes increasingly important. Translating this information into insightful visualizations becomes a necessity. Enterprises want to adapt to meet these modernization challenges, and it includes modernizing the skill set as well. As enterprises evolve on cloud adoption, the focus is on lean DevOps and control their ongoing spend. And that was a wonderful story, Anshul. And thank you for walking us through your highly informative and educative data modernization journey. It is especially interesting to see how you started this effort off to integrate siloed environments within your organization with safe methodology and address some very complex challenges on your replication and application databases, your cache databases, your information warehouse, and also the hardware end of life. There are some of the these are some of the challenges that all the enterprises face today. Thank you once again, and thank you very much.